At my boyfriend Elijah's friend's birthday party, during the third round of Truth or Dare, his childhood friend Eliana drew the truth card, reveal a secret that will shock everyone present. I sat next to Elijah, absorbed in my phone, not particularly interested. However, I caught Eliana's gaze in my peripheral vision. She seemed to be staring at me. Elijah and I booked a hotel room a few days ago. Eliana's calm, level voice dropped into everyone's ears, exploding like a bomb. I distinctly felt Elijah stiffen beside me. I looked up, meeting Eliana's eyes directly. They were defiant, triumphant. "What did you say?" I didn't think I'd misheard, but the information was so overwhelming that I couldn't help but ask again. Eliana lifted her chin slightly, a mocking smirk playing on her lips, and repeated each word clearly. "Elijah and I booked a hotel room a few days ago. Booked a room, and slept together. It was the night you had a fever and a cold." Elijah lied, saying he was away on a business trip, but he was actually with me at the hotel. This time, she even added many more details. My mind raced, recalling the night I had a fever. I'd called Elijah, and he hadn't answered at first. He called back half an hour later, claiming he'd been sent on a sudden business trip out of town and was busy, then quickly hung up. At the time, I hadn't thought much of his unusual behavior. The private room was eerily silent, everyone watching the unfolding drama. No one had expected the secret to be so explosive. My head felt a little foggy. I grabbed Elijah, asking him, "Is what she said true?" Eliana quickly interjected, "It's truth or dare, how could it be false?" Elijah's panicked eyes darted away, unable to look me in the face. At this point, I already knew the truth in my heart. Elijah murmured, trying to explain, "Everyone was drunk that night, just having fun. It was just a dare, don't take it seriously." I gazed at the man before me, incredulous. "Elijah, we're getting engaged in a week, and you're screwing around with another woman behind my back. How disgusting." With that, I slapped him across the face. The fact that Eliana dared to say this so openly and brazenly proved that it wasn't a one-time occurrence. Smack. A crisp sound echoed, and Elijah's face immediately flushed red. Eliana's eyes held undeniable mockery. "Well, they haven't officially tied the knot yet, have they?" My anger surged. I strode towards Eliana, lifted my hand, and was about to slap her when someone grabbed my wrist. I turned to see Elijah. He gripped my wrist tightly, frowning as he said, "Sophie, stop it. You already slapped me. Cool down, don't make a scene. It's just a game, don't be such a sore loser." Even at a moment like this, Elijah was still protecting Eliana, and calling me a sore loser. Playing a game that led them to bed, they certainly knew how to stick to the rules. "Sophie, you'll forgive me, right?" Elijah's hopeful eyes fixed on me. I found it laughable. Why should I forgive him? Or did Elijah simply assume I would, counting on our 7 years together and our engagement next week? Enough. How long are you going to keep arguing? It's my birthday today. Why has it turned into your main event? Julian, who had been sitting quietly in a corner of the private room, suddenly spoke. His silent eyes were exceptionally cold as he surveyed the surroundings, finally breaking his annoyance. The gathering was actually for Julian's birthday. He preferred quiet celebrations, so his close friends, including Elijah, had organized this for him. One of his friends saw the situation and quickly laughed, trying to smooth things over. "All right, this round is over. Next round, the birthday boy gets to pick." The shuffled cards were handed to Julian. He extended a long finger and casually picked the top card. "Reveal a secret that will shock everyone present," someone next to him read aloud. It was the same truth card as the previous round. Julian lowered his head, fiddling with the card, remaining silent for a while. "Julian, it's fine if you don't want to say anything. We can just move on to the next round." Julian raised the hand holding the card, pausing mid-air, a handsome smile playing on his lips. "No, there's nothing I'm afraid to say." As soon as he spoke, his gaze fell on me, giving me an ambiguous look, then shifted to Elijah, and he spoke slowly. "Elijah, I've liked your fiancé for a long time." One dramatic scene followed another. I stood there, stunned. Elijah's eyes flashed with shock, then he forced a stiff, awkward smile. "Julian, are you kidding? Sophia is my girlfriend." Julian sat on the sofa, raising an eyebrow, his deep, dark eyes slightly narrowed, his tone flat yet full of pressure. "Elijah, we've known each other for so many years. How many jokes have I made? I know Sophia is your girlfriend, but we're playing truth or dare, aren't we? Can you lie? Or are you just a sore loser?" Julian's serious tone certainly didn't sound like a joke. Everyone held their breath, tense with anticipation of what further drama would unfold. My head felt a bit dizzy. Julian's intense gaze landed on me, and I instinctively looked away. The room fell into a deathly silence. Eliana, oblivious to the mood, spoke up. It's all just a joke. Let's move on to the next round. Shut up. Do I even know you? Why are you trying to worm your way into my birthday party? Elijah, next time you organize something, don't bring every Tom, Dick, and Harry along. No sense of decorum. Julian's face darkened considerably, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop a few degrees due to his rage. His words were merciless, instantly making Eliana and Elijah's faces flush red. My apologies if my sharp tongue hurt your feelings. Though, for someone like you, it probably wouldn't matter anyway. He finished with a cold laugh, his face still terrifyingly dark. After all, his own birthday party had been ruined like this. How could he possibly be in a good mood? I'm sorry, Julian, today has truly been regrettable. Julian and I weren't very close, we didn't interact much. But our families had known each other since elementary school. I hoped he would take my words into consideration and calm down. Julian didn't respond to my apology. Instead, he stared intently at me, his deep eyes swirling with an unreadable emotion. Sophia, you might want to consider a different leading man for your engagement ceremony. At his words, not only was I shocked, but everyone present gasped. Was this young master, who had always shown little interest in women, joking or serious? But I knew clearly now that if I didn't break up with Elijah at this moment, countless people would be waiting to mock me. I, Sophia, was no fool. If I tolerated my fiancé cheating on me with another woman, I truly would be a spineless idiot. Elijah, beside me, grabbed my hand, turning to look at me. Sophia, you're my fiancé. Your parents have already accepted me. His feigned look of affection made my stomach churn. I forcefully pulled my hand away, tugging at the corner of my mouth. Not anymore. I'm the one marrying you, not my parents. I walked directly to Julian, took his hand, which was casually resting on the sofa, pulled him up, and headed towards the private room door. As I reached the door, I turned to look at Elijah, leaving him with a cold declaration. Elijah, our engagement is off. You're dumped. I led Julian out of the private room. It wasn't until the cool night breeze hit my face that I fully sobered up and released Julian's hand. Thank you for helping me out, I told him. I knew in my heart that without Julian's intervention, those friends would have gossiped endlessly behind my back. Sophia, I wasn't helping you out. Everything I said just now was the truth. His sincere gaze was as gentle as water, his deep emotions completely undisguised. Julian and I had become neighbors in elementary school, and our families got to know each other. Later, his parents' business grew, and they moved to a bigger house, so we lost touch a bit. But coincidentally, we were still in the same school throughout junior high and high school, though we weren't particularly close. After I started dating, he and Julian became good friends. Even now, I still thought Julian was just joking, and that what he did was merely to help me out. If he truly liked me, why would he wait until I was almost engaged to say something? I think I left my phone in the private room. I changed the subject, turning to go back inside. Julian stopped me, pulled out his phone, and made a call. Don't go in. I'll have someone bring it out. The call connected, and Julian put it on speaker. Please bring Sophia's phone out. The voice on the other end replied, okay, Julian. But the call wasn't hung up, and I faintly heard Elijah's voice from the other end. Julian and Sophia have known each other for over 10 years. If they liked each other, they'd have been together already. I chased Sophia for 3 years in high school before she finally said yes. 3 years plus 7 years, Sophia won't give that up. We've broken up so many times before, and she always came back, begging to reconcile. It's just an argument. We're getting engaged in a week anyway. Her parents love me as a son-in-law. Sophia always listens to her parents. She'll cool down and come back. She's not getting any younger. Who else would marry her if not me? Who would take her? Julian hung up the phone. My heart immediately felt heavy and suffocated. It was hard to imagine that the man I was supposed to get engaged to in a week was such a scoundrel. Where did Elijah get the confidence to believe I would always steadfastly choose him, just because my parents liked him? If my parents knew he was such a two-timer, they'd be furious and want to slap him themselves. My phone was brought out. Feeling agitated, I looked at Jay. Julian, come have a drink with me. Julian looked down at me, his voice low. I have a lot of good wine at my home. Would you do me the honor of coming over? I arrived at Julian's home. Immediately inside the entrance, there was a photo wall covered with framed pictures. It was hard to imagine that he, usually so cool, quiet, and serious, would would decorate his home with such a warm photo wall. I knew he loved photography. He often posted scenic photos he'd taken on social media. While went to get the wine, I stood in front of the photo wall, looking curiously. Half of the photo wall displayed landscape pictures, and the other half had group photos. One familiar group photo caught my eye. There were 4 people in it, and one of them was me, dressed in a formal gown. I recognized it as a photo taken by staff after the arts in my sophomore year of high school, featuring the 4 of us hosts. In the picture, I was looking at the camera, my eyes bright, smiling happily. Julian came out with the wine, and I asked him, "How do you have this picture?" He glanced at it. "I took it for you guys. I was on the yearbook committee back then, and I took many of the photos for that year's arts." "Oh, I never even noticed at the time." I smiled shyly, truly surprised that Julian had taken that photo. Julian and I had barely taken a few sips of wine when Elijah's call came through. I'd forgotten to block him first. Feeling irritated, I answered, wanting to hear what other nonsense this man would spew. "Sophia, stop acting like a child. Let's just pretend nothing happened tonight, okay? Where are you? I'll come pick you up." I let out a laugh of pure anger. How could I pretend nothing happened? I, Sophia, wasn't a fool. Julian took my phone, and in a low voice, said, "She's with me. You don't need to worry about her." Then he hung up. Elijah didn't want to break up with me. He tried to reconcile. I knew it was because, in his eyes, I was a suitable partner for marriage, obedient, sensible, generous, pretty, from a good family, with a good temper, reasonable, devoted to him, and highly approved by his family. 4, who liked to play around. I was a very convenient partner, and he didn't want to lose me. My parents also liked Elijah. He was charming, knew how to handle things, and was good at pleasing them. Plus, he was a high school classmate, someone they knew well, and our 7-year relationship had been stable. I wasn't getting any younger, and my parents felt that after dating for so long, it was time to get married. But only I knew whether he was truly suitable for me. Being blinded by love in the past didn't mean I was still blinded by love now. I'd consider the past 7 years as a debt repaid. Now, it was actually good. One game had completely revealed the true nature of the person I was sleeping next to. Time to cut my losses. I sat on the sofa, drinking glass after glass of wine. Before long, I finished an entire bottle by myself. My head felt a little dizzy, and my eyes gradually became hazy. Julian sat beside me, pouring me more wine. "Julian," I slurred, "I'm telling you, don't take advantage of me while I'm drunk. I only trust you because we've known each other for so long." I held out a warning hand, my words already slurring. When I drank too much, I started talking nonsense. The room was dimly lit. Julian lay on the sofa, staring intently at me, a clear smile on his lips. What was happening? Why did I suddenly want to kiss him? I poured myself another glass, trying to calm down. But the alcohol was hitting me, making me feel hot all over. I uncontrollably leaned into Julian. My hand landed on his chest, and I instinctively touched it. It was firm. I looked up at Julian, mesmerized by his lips. As if possessed, I leaned in and kissed him. So soft. It wasn't my fault, he'd enticed me. Julian didn't resist. He cupped my chin, gripping my hand, and deepened the kiss. I was the one who initiated it, but somehow, Julian ended up in control. He held the back of my head until we were both breathless, then pulled away. Julian cradled my face, gently wiping away a tear from the corner of my eye, panting slightly. "Sophia, you know what? I've liked you for 10 years. After said that, his lips covered mine again. I had no time to react. My reason slowly crumbled as our tongues intertwined. "Where do you want to?" Julian whispered near my ear, his warm breath tickling me. "Living room? Bedroom? Walk-in closet?" He pressed. My face was burning red, my heart pounding, violently thrumming against my nerves. I frantically turned my head away, unable to meet his intense gaze. Julian supported me with one hand, lifting me onto his firm hip, while his other hand gently tipped my chin, forcing me to meet his eyes. The ambient intimacy slowly melted into the air with Julian's every word and action, gradually unfolding and spreading outward. Everything around us seemed to blur, only Julian's deep eyes felt real. "Sophia, you're falling." Julian took my hand and, one by one, unfastened his shirt buttons for him. So hot. Clothes peeled off, one by one. I checked the time. It was almost midnight. Nestled against Julian's chest, I looked up at him and whispered, "Julian, happy birthday." He brushed away my sweat-dampened hair. "Sophia, you're the best birthday present." The night was still long. I woke up the next day at noon. The room was a mess. I remembered everything that happened last night. The alcohol hadn't made me black out. On the contrary, the passionate night was exceptionally clear in my mind. Oh no, what did I do last night when I was drunk and lost control? I lay in Julian's arms. He was still asleep, so I didn't dare make any sudden movements. I carefully slipped away, picked up the clothes from the floor, and tiptoed towards the bathroom, afraid of waking him. Awake? His lazy voice reached me. My steps froze instantly. I turned to look at him. Julian had woken up at some point and was propped against the headboard, watching me with amusement. As soon as our eyes met, my mind filled with images from last night, and my ears began to burn. I tried to sound calm. Julian, we're both adults. Let's just pretend nothing happened last night. Before he could respond, I grabbed my clothes and tried to leave, but Julian sat up from the bed, grabbed my waist, pulled me sharply, and flipped me over, pinning me to the bed. I gasped. Julian lifted my chin, his eyes darkening, and smirked. Nothing happened last night? Sophia, how about we do it again right now to help you remember? He squeezed my waist, gently stroking it. My hands pressed against his chest, my face uncontrollably flushed, and I stammered, and no need. Sophia, you have to take responsibility for me. You were the one who kissed me last night. Julian held my hand, his eyes sparkling with desire. My mind raced, recalling the events. It really did seem like I was the one who initiated the kiss last night. Sophia, you really are a pervert. Julian, you didn't lose out either, I said, pushing him away and standing firm. I was beautiful and had a great figure. He, Julian, got a bargain, but was relentless. He knelt by the bed, bare-chested, looking at me with pleading eyes. I don't care. You slept with me, so you have to take responsibility. Why was this man being so shameless? Don't think you can seduce me by showing off such a good body. Okay, tell me, how should I take responsibility? Alright, he did seduce me. After knowing him for so many years, I never realized he had such a great physique. Julian smoothly got out of bed, picking up the clothes from the floor. It's noon now. Let's shower, get dressed, and then go straight to the county clerk's office. Confused, I asked, what are we going to do at the county clerk's office? Get our marriage certificate. You just agreed to take responsibility for me. You can't go back on your word. With that, he took his change of clothes and walked into the bathroom, leaving me standing there, stunned. Seriously, this was a bit too much responsibility, wasn't it? Julian poked his head out of the bathroom, raising an eyebrow at me. Want to shower together? When I emerged from the county clerk's office with our marriage certificate, it felt so surreal. I thought I was dreaming. It was too unreal. We just got married like that? It wasn't until Julian pulled a ring box out of his bag and handed it to me, revealing a pair of wedding rings inside, that I felt it wasn't a dream. One for you, one for me. Let's both put them on. I was stunned, frozen in place. When had he prepared the rings? Just last night, Elijah had confidently declared that no one else would marry me if I didn't marry him. And today, Julian and I had our freshly minted marriage certificate. Julian put on his ring. Seeing that I hadn't moved, he took my hand and put the ring on my finger. That ring looks beautiful on you. I suddenly thought of something and asked him, Julian, you don't mind my past with Elijah, do you? I don't mind. You're my wife now. What is there to mind? Julian smiled, his gaze gentle, the corners of his mouth curving upward. Just then, his phone rang, untimely. It was an unknown number. He answered it, and Elijah's voice came through. Why was this man so persistent? Julian is with you? Her phone's off. Yes, she's with me. A roar came through the phone. Julian, you don't steal a friend's wife. Sophia is my girlfriend. I'm sorry, but she's mine now. Julian declared his ownership to Elijah on the other end. Elijah seemed to be too stunned to react, remaining silent for a long time. What do you mean, July? Before could finish, Julian hung up. Elijah's call eventually reached my parents. He, the villain, had gotten his complaint in first. When my mom called, Julian and I were at the shopping mall, eating. Sophie, Elijah said you two argued, and you canceled the engagement. You two have been together for so many years, and you're getting engaged next week. You're not children anymore. You shouldn't act impulsively when you have disagreements. As soon as my mom's voice came through, my nose stung, and I felt like crying. I choked out, Mom, Elijah cheated on me and slept with another girl behind my back. What? He actually did that? My mom's voice immediately rose, asking incredulously. Yes. Then the engagement should certainly be called off. I can't believe that seemingly honest young man would do something so despicable to you. Thankfully, you hadn't gotten your marriage certificate yet. My dad, listening to the call, couldn't sit still and started yelling about Elijah. I couldn't help but shed tears, grateful that my parents were on my side. Before hanging up, my parents told me to come home and rest if I was unhappy, and not to grieve alone. Indeed, crying over such a man wasn't worth it. It was true that Elijah had been good to me before, and that he had loved me. I never doubted genuine feelings, but genuine feelings can change in an instant. Now, his cheating and lying were also true. Julian handed me a tissue from beside me and asked, "When are you going to tell your parents about us getting married?" "Let's wait a bit. I'm afraid if I tell them one thing after another, they won't be able to handle it." "Okay, I don't mind," he said, gently stroking my head, his eyes full of affection. I still felt a little unaccustomed to it. I admitted that getting married to Julian was largely impulsive, driven by spite. Although we had known each other since we were very young, we had always been just friends. My parents knew and understood him, which was why I, on a whim, agreed to go to the county clerk's office with Julian to get our marriage certificate. I guess this wasn't exactly marrying a stranger. My things were still at the home I shared with Elijah. I planned to go and pack everything to take with me. Julian drove me there. I opened the door and walked in, finding several clothes scattered on the floor. Eliana emerged from the bathroom, wrapped in a towel. She looked surprised to see me, then a triumphant look spread across her face. "Oh, what's this?" She eyed Julian and me up and down. Elijah walked out of the bedroom, bare-chested. "I called you yesterday. What were you two doing?" He actually had the nerve to question me first. Could he please change this habit of the perpetrator accusing first? "Elijah, I'm the one paying the rent for this place. It's one thing for you to get a hotel room with her, but you've dragged her to our home, haven't you?" I was furious, suddenly realizing why I should move my things out. It should be Elijah who moved out. I grabbed Elijah's belongings and started throwing them out the door. Elijah saw me doing this and panicked. "Sophia, I'm sorry. We didn't do anything yesterday. I was just drunk, and Eliana brought me home. I'll never do this again." Elijah raised his hand to swear and make promises, then tried to approach and grab me, but Julian pushed him away. "Get lost. We've already broken up." I said that, took Julian's hand, and walked out. Then I made a call, asking someone to come and throw all of Elijah's things out of the room. Julian booked a restaurant for the evening. He said, we should still have a proper dinner. After a romantic candlelight dinner, we planned to invite some friends to a bar to celebrate further. Of course, Elijah wasn't invited. But unexpectedly, Elijah found out somehow and showed up uninvited, bursting into the private room. "Julian, what's the meaning of this?" He then pointed at me. "Sophia, are you still sulking?" "Julian, you're just meddling, aren't you? You two teamed up to fool me. Sophia, you're not getting any younger. If I don't marry you, who else will?" Julian smirked, then took my hand and raised it grandly. "Sorry, I married her." Elijah heard this and was utterly shocked, looking at me in disbelief. "Sophia, is this true?" I nodded, squeezing Julian's hand firmly. "Of course, it's true. Actually, Julian and I have known each other longer than you. Want to see our marriage certificate?" Freshly issued. Everyone watched the spectacle with amusement. Elijah, losing face, stormed out, slamming the door. The next day, Julian and I were still in bed when my parents called. On the phone, my parents said Elijah and his parents had come to our home. They wanted an explanation from my parents about the broken engagement and my sudden marriage to someone else. I immediately sobered up and rushed home with Julian. He's such a jerk, he won't give up until he hits rock bottom. I couldn't stop cursing him on the way. Julian, who was driving, asked me, "Why was Elijah so determined to marry you?" I thought for a moment, sighed, and replied, "Because has azoospermia, he can't have children." But I had told him before that I didn't mind. My family is well off, more than enough for him, and my parents also don't mind that he can't have children. And I'm obedient and sensible, so he probably thought I was easy to manipulate. So his parents must have thought they wouldn't find a second daughter-in-law as good as me. That's why they absolutely had to hold on to me, a total fool. Julian had an enlightened expression. So that's how it is. I even realized what a total fool I was. How could I have been so blinded by love before? I really wanted to slap myself to knock some sense into myself. When we arrived home, I saw Elijah and his parents sitting on our sofa. Elijah hung his head low. Uncle and Aunt immediately stood up when they saw me, rushing over to take my hand. "Sophie, I've already taught Elijah a good lesson. He won't dare to do it again." You two have been together for so many years. Little squabbles are normal, right? Aunt smiled apologetically at me. Before I could speak, Julian, who was beside me, spoke up first. No, it's not normal. Elijah cheated, he completely disrespected Sophia. Why should such a wonderful girl like Sophia accept a man like that? Aunt heard this and became anxious. Who are you? What right do you have to speak nonsense here? This time, I spoke first. I took Julian's hand and openly admitted, he's my husband. What? Uncle and Aunt were shocked. What? My parents were shocked. I pulled our marriage certificate from my bag and handed it to them, letting them see it clearly. It wasn't fake, it was real. Did still think I was lying to him that day? He still didn't believe it, still clung to a delusional hope. Uncle and Aunt, I don't want to say anything more. At this point, it's best for everyone to go their separate ways. Your son knows best what he did. You can ask him properly. I politely extended my hand, signaling for them to leave my home. Uncle and Aunt looked upset and tried to persuade me again. But my parents quickly ushered them all out. Get out. Don't ever appear in front of me again, or it won't be as simple as just telling you to leave. How disgusting. Oh, what a wonderful son-in-law I have. Julian, I can't believe you managed to win over our Sophie. My mom's face was beaming. A mother-in-law looks at her son-in-law, and the more she looks, the more she likes him. Julian even looked a bit shy, too embarrassed to speak. I'm sorry, Uncle and Aunt. I came too hastily this time and didn't prepare any gifts. I'll make a formal visit another day. My dad was a little annoyed, pouting and grumbling. You've already gotten your marriage certificate. What's the point of a visit now? You too, you're so bold. Getting married, such an important thing, just like that, without even telling your parents. I quickly went to comfort him, pouting playfully. Oh, Dad, I just hadn't had a chance to tell you yet. Look, if Julian and I hadn't gotten married, Elijah's family would definitely have pestered us endlessly, and I wouldn't have been able to get away. Besides, Julian is someone you know better than anyone. You could even say you grew up together. Don't you trust him? After a good deal of coaxing, I finally managed to appease my dad. My mom, happy, prepared to cook dinner at home to properly entertain Julian. That evening during dinner, Julian drank a lot with my dad, making him happy and satisfied. Elijah had still been sending me messages recently. Sophie, is there really no possibility for us anymore? I replied, what possibility are you still thinking about? Then, I blocked him, and secretly leaked the news that he suffered from azoospermia. Although everyone comforted him, they were actually laughing at him behind his back. Someone jokingly said to Eliana, Elijah's new girlfriend, that's great. Someone loves you, and you won't have to suffer the pain of childbirth in the future. Eliana smiled on the surface, but it was rumored that she broke up with Elijah the very next day. Julian's photo wall at home was redecorated with many more pictures of me. I hadn't seen most of these photos. I didn't even know I had taken them. When did you take this picture from the sports? I don't remember it at all. I held the photo and asked Julian. He was cooking in the kitchen, and without even looking up, he replied, you were one of the hosts for sports, weren't you? I was on the yearbook committee, and I took many photos for everyone, but most of them were of you. But I was too shy to give them to you, so I saved them all on my laptop. I opened Julian's laptop and found a folder named Sophia. Clicking it open, I saw several categorized subfolders. Freshman Day, Sophomore Day, Freshman Festival, Sophomore Festival, Freshman School Field, Sophomore School Field. Throughout high school, for every event, Julian had taken photos for school promotions. My figure appeared especially often in these photos, always in the most prominent, center position. Out of selfishness, most of the photos I took included you. Not only was I the most conspicuous in group photos, but Julian had also taken many solo pictures of me. From countless corners I never knew existed, Julian secretly zoomed in, capturing moments of me laughing freely. Indeed, those who love you capture your essence beautifully and vividly. Wash your hands and come eat, dinner's ready. Julian placed the steaming hot dishes on the dining table. I had already smelled the delicious aroma wafting from the kitchen, but Julian hadn't let me help him in there. Wow, I can't believe you're such a good cook. Looking at the table full of colorful, fragrant, and incredibly tempting dishes, I couldn't help but give Julian a thumbs up. If it's good, then eat. Julian put several pieces of pork ribs into my bowl. I dug in, shaking my head at how delicious it was. After dinner, Julian and I decided to go for a walk to digest. The evening breeze was cool, and Julian took off his suit jacket and draped it over me. He held my hand, and we strolled down the street. When did you start liking me? I asked him. Without a moment's thought or hesitation, Julian blurted out, during the summer after 8th grade. My mind raced, trying to recall any significant events from that summer that stood out. But I couldn't remember anything. To me, it had seemed like just an ordinary summer. Curious, I asked him, why that summer? Did something happen? Julian reached out his free hand and gently stroked my head, saying with an affectionate smile, that summer, I was learning to swim, and my leg cramped up. I nearly drowned. It was you who pulled me out of the water. As said that, it clicked. Every summer, my parents would sign me up for swimming lessons, and going to the pool to splash around was a lot of fun. That year, at my parents' suggestion, Julian's parents also enrolled him in a swimming class for lessons. I remembered pulling a boy who was flailing in the water out one day. So, I was your lifesaver, after all, I teased Julian. Julian squeezed my hand tighter and leaned in close to my ear, whispering affectionately, thank you, my lifesaver. I originally wanted to confess my feelings to you in high school, but back then you only had eyes for Elijah, and didn't pay attention to anyone else. So, I never spoke of my feelings, fearing that if I did, we wouldn't even be friends anymore. I secretly had a crush on you for so many years. If I had known Elijah would turn out this way, I wouldn't have pursued him so relentlessly. Maybe I owed him from a past life, and this life was destined for a difficult relationship with him. But it's okay. It's good to cut your losses in time. Speaking of that hurtful relationship, even though it still left a bad taste in my mouth, I'd found a way to let it go. Julian comforted me, you have me now, so don't dwell on those who hurt you anymore. I will love you truly. I love you, Sophia. Under the dim streetlights, Julian's overwhelming love resonated. I stopped, turning to look at him, meeting his clean, bright, and clear eyes. My heart pounded. It turned out the one who truly loved me had been by my side all along.